Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Javier Becerra. I have the privilege of being the Attorney General for the state of California. I'm joined by Ricky Rivas, who is with Equality California, and Ashley Morris, who is with ACLU of Northern California. We're here because we wish to announce to our fellow Californians that today we are moving forward with legislation that was passed by our legislature a couple of years ago. AB 1887, I want to make sure I got that right, AB 1887, which essentially says that the state of California is not going to participate in discriminatory conduct by other states. And so to the degree that we can make sure that our taxpayer dollars here in the state of California are not used to permit travel for state-sponsored or state-funded purposes in states that discriminate against people in America, we're going to do what we can to make sure that we help those folks who might face that discriminatory conduct. And so today I wish to announce that after a full review, I am instructing my staff to add to the list of states that California will restrict when it comes to state-sponsored or state-funded travel, the following states: Alabama, Kentucky, South Dakota, and Texas. Each of those states in the recent weeks have enacted legislation that has become law that would deprive some of the individuals of their states and individuals who were to visit those states of their constitutional rights. And therefore, under the powers vested in me under the new law, AB 1887, I have instructed my staff to make sure that we instruct all state agencies and those that are sponsored by us, by the state of California, to make sure that we are not employing state resources to support the activities in those states that discriminate against individuals. In most part, we know that the laws that are being passed have a discriminatory effect on people based on sexual orientation. We understand that to travel to these states at state expense would mean that we would be using taxpayer dollars to support these states. And we think it would be an offense to all those individuals in America who feel the scourge of discrimination now in these states as a result of these recently enacted state laws. And so those 4 states now today will join 4 states which had been previously listed by the Department of Justice on this restricted travel list. Those previously listed states include Mississippi, Kansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. I'm pleased that I'm joined, as I said before, by individuals who have been part of this fight, and their organizations have been part of this fight for quite some time. I'm pleased that in California we take very seriously any discrimination against any American, and I'd like to now give the representatives from Equality California and the ACLU an opportunity to make some remarks. Let me first turn the microphone over to Ricky Rivas of Equality California.
Thank you very much. Today, California is making it clear that it does not tolerate discrimination, either here at home or beyond its borders. And as we fight for the civil rights of all Americans, it's important to remember that few steps forward happen without a backlash. 2 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that all Americans, regardless of sexual orientation, have a right to marry. Since then, state lawmakers across the country have rushed to draft bills, both pending and passed, to allow discrimination against LGBTQ people in every aspect of their lives. Some states, such as Texas and the other states added today to California's no-fly list, have targeted and even jeopardized the lives of their LGBTQ citizens. Others, like California, have forcefully opposed these efforts. Businesses, cities, and other states have been taking a firm stand against this dangerous backlash against the LGBT community and their families. AB 1887 by Assemblymember Evan Lowe continues to ensure that California has a strong role in that nationwide effort. The law ensures that California will not send its taxpayer dollars to any state that sanctions discrimination against LGBTQ people. Our state, currently ranked as the 5th largest economy in the world, is also a national leader when it comes to protecting the rights of its LGBTQ citizens and their families. These discriminatory laws in Texas, North Carolina, North Dakota, and other states are completely out of step with the values that make California the vibrant economic powerhouse that it is. We applaud Attorney General Becerra for taking action to ensure California is supporting the LGBTQ community, both inside and outside its borders, and taking a strong stand against discrimination. Attorney General, thank you very much.
If I can ask Ashley Morris to now step forward with the ACLU of Northern California.
Thank you. Last year, the ACLU was a proud supporter of AB 1887 by Assemblymember Lowe. The reason is simple. We believe that all human beings are created equal and should be treated as such, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. States that have adopted discriminatory laws are without a doubt on the wrong side of history. And while religious freedom is an important American value, that value should never be used to justify unlawful discrimination that goes against our California values and our public policy. Furthermore, California taxpayer dollars should not be expended to support such discrimination. So today, we're proud to stand with our partners from Equality California and Attorney General Becerra to do our part to make freedom and justice a reality for all Americans, regardless of their identity or whom they love. Today, we also stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ community nationwide, because the single most powerful thing we can do is to believe that change and progress are not only possible, but inevitable, and that we all hold the power to create that change. Thank you.
Ashley and Ricky, thank you very much. If I can just add one last piece of information. About 21 years ago, in 1996, when I was still serving in Congress, we had before us legislation called the Defense of Marriage Act. And that legislation purported to protect the rights of people to marry if they were of the opposite sex, which meant it was discriminating against people of the same sex. In 1996, of the 435 members in the House of Representatives, only 67 of us voted no against institutionalizing discrimination in our statutes. We know that some 17 years later, the Supreme Court affirmed that no vote by the 67 of us by saying that, in fact, it was discriminatory to deny someone the right to marry simply because the person he or she chose to marry was of the same sex. The LGBT community has suffered for many, many years. It hasn't stopped. And while we've made great strides, we're not interested in California of seeing us step backwards. So we're doing what we can with the help of the legislature to make sure that we send the message in California, we're not condoning discrimination against anyone. And that's why our taxpayer dollars will not be used to let people travel to these states that choose to discriminate against Americans for whatever reason. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank everyone at the ACLU, Equality California, all the different advocacy organizations and individuals who've pushed this effort to try to make sure that we protect the rights of all Americans. I want to say thank you to them for believing that the state of California has got their back. Thanks very much.